Welcome to Globalshift once again, where we track the global transition away from the neoliberal world disorder towards a new emerging planetary order and help to unpack and make sense of the latest news and geopolitical events. This is a brief announcement to say that I've posted an article on the Globalshift website on the 4th of January, which covers the events, the recent events in the current war in the Middle East. A link to which is available in the video description box below. If you're watching this video from a platform other than YouTube and wish to see previous videos, please refer to the Globalshift YouTube channel, for which I also provide a link below. The article I've just posted covers the war from the regional Middle Eastern perspective, and this is because of the importance of the intervention in the Red Sea of the Houthis in Yemen, who are known as AnsarAllah. AnsarAllah have sanctioned all vessels heading for Israel from travelling through the Bab and Mandeb Straits, which are the entrance to the Red Sea, and which they control. And so far, the United States has not been able to counter this intervention. It is a confirmation of the total confusion that has beset the Biden administration, that it actually ever sought to cobble together an international coalition to counter AnsarAllah's strategy. Inevitably, it failed because, where such coalitions might have worked to prevent Somali pirates from boarding and stealing cargo in transit, they don't work in the case of an opponent that is using sophisticated long-range missile technology to control traffic, naval traffic and maritime traffic. A US attack on AnsarAllah vessels, in fact, was itself enough to convince all maritime traffic, not just the Israeli-bound traffic, which AnsarAllah is trying to stop, but all traffic from using the Red Sea. The article focuses not only on the background to AnsarAllah's rise, but also on Saudi Arabia. And this is because Saudi Arabia was the main player in the war in Yemen against AnsarAllah. Although now the two parties are abiding by a truce, which seems to be working in the favour of both countries, or both Saudi Arabia and AnsarAllah. The importance of this truce to Saudi Arabia is discussed, and it is the reason that the United States was unable to convince the Desert Kingdom to take up arms against AnsarAllah in order to prevent the development of this current scenario. Saudi Arabia started, actually, there was the Yemen war, and the article discusses this. It started it for its own reasons, and now it has decided to close it down. Although Saudi Arabia has condemned Israeli action in Gaza and has organized and joined various summits and United Nations moves to gain a consensus on the need to stop the Gaza war, someone like China, it is completely focused, actually, in the current phase on its internal affairs. So we don't see any Saudi action on Gaza beyond the summitry it's involved in. And the reason for this is that Saudi Arabia is going through a significant structural change as a country, as a nation at the moment. And this, it is discussed, will actually surprise the United States when it emerges from the other side, on the other side of this Gaza war. As in Russia, Saudi Arabian state building, which speaks of a post-neoliberal phase in the making. This state building is orienting itself towards China. And it is doing this to avail itself, the leadership, Saudi leadership is doing this to avail itself of the unique possibilities afforded by China's Belt and Road framework. A Gaza war endgame is discussed because there's little more that Israel can do in Gaza except continuing to randomly kill civilians, there is little doubt that recent arguments between the leadership of the Israeli armed forces and the Israeli government suggest that the generals want to see an end to the war. If the tone of this new article is regional in aspect, it is because, inasmuch as it will be the task of the United States rather than Israel to deal with the aftermath of the war, the consequences of the war for America will involve a costly downgrade of its presence in the region. In fact, a postscript added to the article today covers 3 additional points that I will briefly mention here. We will see a change in the status of AnsarAllah from branded terrorist organization to a more formally recognized body, because it has attracted widespread support for its actions in the Red Sea from all factions in Yemen, not just the population that it represents, and that is in addition to essentially the tacit support of Saudi Arabia in this recent period, which it has benefited from. Saudi Arabia refusing, as I've just said, to respond to US demands to act against AnsarAllah. The second point we see is that after confrontations between the Iraqi militias and US forces in Iraq, there are new demands now from the Iraqi government for all US forces stationed in bases in Iraq to leave the country. This will have knock-on effects on the ability of US troops to maintain and supply its presence in Syria, to thereby which presence is used to support the Kurds, the Kurdish pressure on Turkey, and to give cover to the operations of ISIS, or Daesh as it's known in Arabic. The third point covers Hassan Nasrallah's second speech of the week, which indicates an additional point, and that is that Israel faces a massive post-war problem in that settlers will refuse to return to the areas bordering Lebanon, which they've vacated and which Hezbollah has completely destroyed, without a new political deal with Lebanon and Hezbollah. Nasrallah, according to the speech, fully intends to use the opportunity that new negotiations will be posed to recover all the land that Israel has kept after its last withdrawal from Lebanon, and to force Israel, should it require a security cordon, to locate that entirely within Israel. Please send any comments and questions on the issues contained in this new article to info@globalshiffft.com. We'd love to hear from you and discuss these issues. Thank you for listening.